Hello, everyone, and good evening. My name is Aisha Sardar, and I am the host for today's roundtable. Today, we are going to be talking about reinventing ourselves in post-pandemic. So, before we start there, Public Allies has been a little bit quiet and silent these days because it's summer and all of you are enjoying the heat. So are we. The team is off for the summer, but we are trying to keep you engaged with a few webinars and with a few roundtables. We will be coming back again in September with a lot more things to talk about and a lot more webinars and roundtable. So today we have with us wonderful panel. Before we get into the panel, I want to talk about what the topic is. COVID definitely has modified our experiences, a perception of what's considered normal. It feels strange, the idea of being together in the world again. For some, the prospect of crowded restaurants and bars is unfamiliar now. People craving for daily interactions worry they've lost the ease with which they once socialized. Where is this coming from? This comes from an extreme fear of the disease or anxiety about readjusting into the society. More than a year into the pandemic, people have become accustomed to their lives that they've built and the routines they've created. Pandemic also brought about positive changes in some lives, and they're afraid of losing what they've gained. We should expect that there's going to be some period of time when how we respond to the world around us is going to be different, where we are going to potentially feel a little bit awkward probably. Some medical experts even say people might have PTSD, but we cannot let the fear overwhelm us. As we step into the end of the holidays, back to schools, back to work, and back to normal life, we have to embrace it. To discuss more on this, we have with us today our wonderful panelists, and I'm going to be introducing them in alphabetical order. So first we have Giselle Taraba. Hi, Giselle. Hi. Okay, I just wanted you to wait. Okay. So Giselle has a master's in epidemiology, a master's in social work, and specializes in compassion in systems. She has worked for over 10 plus years in leadership positions, and now she is the co-owner of Maitri Center for Love and Compassion, which specializes in compassion at work. So welcome again. Second, we have Meenu Khanna. She's a licensed accountant and a licensed mortgage professional with over 20 years of financial experience. Her business insight allows her clientele the best mortgage solutions to serve their specific requirement. Meenu manages a team of licensed mortgage agents where she helps build their knowledge on mortgages and teaches them how to be effective within their own business. Last but not least, we have Nada Habib. She's a senior HR professional and certified career coach who started her own career coaching and consulting business, Career Happiness. Her goal is for professionals to love Mondays again by uncovering their true potential. She also helps organizations build strategic HR functions and create meaningful and engaging workplace environments for their employees. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Giselle, you're muted.
Thank you so much for having us. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you couldn't hear my word.
All right. So first of all, I hope all of you are having a wonderful summer. Are you?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Can't complain. Love it.
Yeah, I know. I cannot.
And we hope the same for you, Aisha.
Oh, yes, it's been wonderful. And, you know, coming out of it, last year at this particular point in time, I was a little bit anxious of going out and meeting people, but this year has been better for me. So yeah, back to normal, I hope. Small steps. Okay, going into the topic, we're going to be talking about reinventing ourselves post-pandemic. So what does it mean to you? And what surprised you as you worked through the pandemic and had to reinvent yourself? So we'll go in the alphabetical order. First, Giselle, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Well, I think one of the things that I was most surprised at is just how the pandemic showed how interconnected we are. And then how these moments that we had of this crisis really kind of gave us a moment of clarity to show us what was working, what wasn't working. We saw, everybody was being asked to go to their homes. We saw that some people didn't have homes. So we saw that there's huge inequities in their social justice issues. And so we really kind of noticed what was working and what wasn't working. And for me in particular, I really started focusing on what I really wanted to create rather what I wanted to avoid, right? So for me, it was really focusing on what I wanted to see more of in the world. I want to see more compassion in the world. I want to see more love in the world. I want to be the change. And so that's why we actually kind of launched during the pandemic. Because I wanted to be part of creating a new world. And so I thought I would do my part. So that was what I was surprised for me in terms of focusing on what I wanted to create versus not. Thank you.
So it was actually positive for you because, you got to create what you wanted to, and this gave you more time maybe, or it was the right time.
Yeah, to me, it felt like the right time. I was a little bit unsure about launching during the pandemic, but just when I started to see there was a lot of calls for compassion and kindness, and there was a lot of people stepping up, but we also saw the opposite. We also saw a lot of people being very afraid and divided, and understandably, COVID has been very frightening, but we also saw a greater need for it in some groups. So,
thank you, Giselle. Meenu, you want to go next?
Sure. Thank you. So pandemic basically gave me a crash course in rethinking and reflecting on what I really want. What am I passionate about? So I kind of had to look at myself saying, okay, I want to grow into my mortgage business. How can I do that? So I kind of took on more people to motivate people, become their life coaches. So it gave me that venue to think about, okay, I've been doing something and kind of avoiding some stuff. So I just went more into it. And it's just kind of taken into a different stream. What's worked, I didn't think pandemic with social isolation, I would be connecting with so many people, digital media, like Aisha, like there's so many great people I met during pandemic that I would have never thought about meeting. And those friendship has like solidify of what I'm doing is working. It's amazing. Like in one way, it was a blessing in disguise that, yeah, we are all social isolated in our home, but I was still able to connect with more than people that I could connect before. So it was positive for me too.
Amazing. So, actually for a lot of people who were on a speed mode, it helped you stop, relax, and restart. Like, it gave you the time to do all of it. Yeah, I agree. Nada, go ahead.
I mean, I was going to start right there. I think the pandemic pulled the plug from this rat race that we've been in for so long. And you continually go from one job, one commitment to another, and you never fully stop to say, what is really working for me and what's really serving for me. And once me personally, I'll speak to myself, once you're over that fear of what was happening and we didn't know what was going around us, and it never settled down. We never went back to whatever normal was before our pandemic. Once that dust settled a little bit, you start focusing inwards and you see what can you do in these new circumstances. And you look inwards instead of outwards, which we've been attached to that rat race for so long. So it had a positive impact on me. But to Giselle's point, I've seen people thrive in these circumstances. I've seen people who unfortunately crumbled, and that's okay. This is natural. It's human behavior. But I wanted to also be there for those that we can help from a career sense. So.
Aisha, you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's so wonderful that, we all stepped up for each other. We all were there. Like, I remember so many people started the caremongers group. So many started helping their neighbors, the old, the seniors who really needed that help, providing groceries, listening to them, sitting and talking to them across the road, right? So it was wonderful. So I would say that yes, we thrived. In spite of all the challenges, we all did very well. But now it is time for us to move forward, to get back to keep the positive things that we have learned, but also go back to what was normal, at least for a few people, because they are missing it, right? So that brings me to the next question for us. Anybody has anything else to add?
Well, I was just going to add, if you don't mind, Aisha, that
Yeah, go ahead.
to add to what my colleagues have said, I really do think that this pandemic has shown us that we are much more compassionate and loving than we give ourselves credit for. That we really kind of had gone in, you know, not to blame the media, but the media does seem to show kind of the negative things, the things to worry about. And I think this pandemic did give us an opportunity to actually show how compassionate we really can be. And so I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, many a times I have clients who used to say that, you know, my family doesn't listen to me. Like, you know, they don't have time to sit and listen to what I have to say. Probably pandemic helped them sit and listen to each other. So in a way it was good, but yeah, I wouldn't say so many lives lost was the worst part of it. Okay, so that brings us to our next question, which is like, now that you come from different industries, right? Now that we are moving into the different phases of the pandemic, and how do you believe our social life, education system, mental health, employment, and the economy in general are going to be like, are they forever changed? Or do you think we are going to go back to what was normal before pandemic? Meenu, you want to go first?
Sure. I'll start from a financial sector because I'm from finance. So
Yeah.
I will leave the mental and compassions and all the other stuff to my two extreme colleague. From financially, yeah, it's going to have a big impact because now we're coming out of COVID, things are going back to normal, but a lot of businesses have lost a lot of money. Like restaurant businesses, travel and tourism industry, there's like tons of industry which have to let go of people because they cannot survive. Also financial subsidy that's government has been giving is kind of ending. So now is coming to that time where people have to make those tough decisions, what to do with it, right? Do they keep going the same way they were going? Market has shifted, right? Like shopping, like people used to doing online shopping now. People are not going to be going into stores because even myself personally, I was all afraid of, oh, should I buy online? I cannot do this thing. And look at those businesses, Amazons and big companies are thriving. So there will be, for sure, there will be a lot of shifting happening. Again, working from home, like it's going to be a hybrid model most probably because some people are going to be working from home, somebody will be going. So basically offices have to figure out what to do. Like they still have to manage that, right? It's going to be not an easy shift. It's going to happen, but it opened door for other businesses that they didn't think about, takeout businesses, like e-commerce businesses just moving on high and high. Even Facebook and Instagram, I was never on that much on those platforms, and I'm on there all the time now. So there's a plus and minuses for everything. So those things will happen. Employment, again, is going to be things that we have to watch for what's going to happen in coming months. It's still unknown. So a lot of changes for sure will coming.
Yeah, I agree that, you know, there has been a lot of loss for businesses. And I don't even know if I want to go back to the mall shopping because I see a lot of variety. I can browse through those online stores so quickly and I can see the comparison. I don't have to get into a mall and all. But if those small businesses exist, probably I know all of us will step up again and will try and help them. But yeah, that's a question that needs to be answered. You're right, Meenu. Okay, Nada, go ahead. What do you think?
I will start from the employment side, just because of the space I'm in terms of HR and career coaching. I mean, the job market is forever changing. It's never sitting still, right? Just the general ebbs and flows of different demands in different sectors. COVID just pushed it over the edge in terms of thinking of our working environment in a different way and actually truly challenging organizations on two fronts. Can the work truly be done from home? You don't need to be in the office anymore. And then the second front, whether we like it or not, really looking at your head count and looking at the productivity and what you want. So if you hired 100 people in your team, it can now down be 50 or 60. Well, what am I going to do with the remaining, right? Can I use that workforce in another part of my organization? And it's the reality of a lot of organizations that are going back and reassessing what their goals are and what their business objectives are against the headcount, against their budgets and so on, and then just challenging the norm of our workplaces. The other part that I'm going to touch on is the mental health. The mental health has become a much bigger topic in space, and it's affected a lot of employees and managers and supervisors, just a lot of people in so many different streams. And it is not now sector specific or industry specific. It is a topic that has lingered in the background, and I don't think we were very comfortable in addressing it. And now it's just reached a point that is now we have advocates for it, we have true wellness programs around it, and added to the isolation that this is the negative side of COVID, that is built that each one of us is now working from home. It's just exuberated this mental health piece for our employees. And how do you manage that? Before, come into the office, we're all going to have lunch together. Come in on Friday, we're going to catch a lunch after I was going to say after school. I mean, after work, but that's not there anymore. So how do we continue to have that engaging piece? But COVID has, or the pandemic has forever changed a lot of fronts in a lot of the topics that we'd be talking about, whether it's the social life that our younger generation is craving. They want to go back to the office, and I understand why they want to go back to the office. They're humans, they want to interact with people, while the our Gen X's and Gen Y's, they're just happy working from home because they got multiple things on the go and they want a balanced life, and they're okay with it, right? And then you've got your baby boomers, they're like, I'm not all into that digital part, but they will do by because they have good years in them to get to work. So it has forever changed the forefront in a lot of aspects of our work. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, completely agree with that. And also it's a different culture now. So the people who are above certain age limit, can they actually process that? Can they actually do it? That's also a question. And I saw a lot of cut downs too, especially the top management who were taking care of managing the people, who were taking care of the people management. And also there's a lot of cut down when it comes to offices, taking care of the office management and all those stuff. So yeah, some jobs are going to be like, they are going to let go of those, but it also brings us to a newer topic, like, can people actually work from home? It is like pushing them into more isolation. Like there were team building activities which used to happen. Now I see even those team building activities are games online. Like, come on, you have to at least ask them to meet you at the park or somewhere else and do a team building where, people see each other, talk to the person who you have been talking for ages, but who has been behind the computer, or, who doesn't show their face, who just likes to talk, but doesn't like to come forward on the video. But yeah, that's we will come back to that, Nada. That is an important question. Giselle, go ahead. You are all about compassion. I want to hear about it now.
Well, I was just going to comment on the fact that, both my friends who spoke said some really, really spot on things. And, you mentioned the issue of remote working. I do think that the new workplaces will be kind of a hybrid model, that there will be that need for, belongingness, connection of the people who are working remotely along with their colleagues, as well as the flexibility. And the people that survived in the pandemic were really people that were able to pivot, right? Like organizations that were able to pivot and put some of the stuff online, or able to do hybrid things. And so I think the flexibility, is going to be really, really important. But to go back to touch on what Nada had said about mental health, I think one of the things that is really, really key right now are the issues of mental health. From a personal perspective, I believe that that this mass exodus that we're seeing of people leaving the workplace has to do that it has to do with the fact that we can no longer work in the same ways that we did before. These toxic work environments where people were expected to be stapled to their desk from 9 to 5, and you got to be in the workplace so I can see you to make sure. Workplaces where there is no trust. These kind of work environments no longer work for people because and I have worked from home. They know how they can balance their work life and their life. And there are going to be new expectations about the workplace, expectations where people feel like they are supported, empowered, flourishing, and that they feel that they are seen as human beings, that it's seen as a whole. And so I don't see that these workplaces are going to survive if they're not going to shift from that power over approach to the workplace.
I'll just add to Giselle's point. That's a fantastic point. The problem is some organizations are either in denial or they choose not to see it. And the problem is they have to see enough employees exit the organization to start thinking, it's us. We are the problem. It's not the policy or the procedure or the new promotion we gave them. It's us, right? So they have to start looking inwards, and I feel like some are just choosing not to address it just yet. So they're going to get a rude wake-up call.
If I can also add to both of your points, it's like I think employer has to value their employee, because the employee are the one that makes and break the organization. So these employees could be working from home and they can effectively perform, appreciating that fact, because I know, like you said, they're in denial because they never thought we had to do this thing. I heard story from my colleagues saying, oh, my employer doesn't want me to work from home, or if I'm working from home, I have to tell them exactly what am I working on, right? And then May 13, 2020 came and everybody's like, oh, we are working from home, right? So it was a wake-up call for everybody. And they saw the productivity actually rise from before, right? So things can be done. If you trust your employees, you let them do what they do, they can be at home taking care of their kids and family and still performing it. And I personally have performed more than before because you feel that you can do it, right? Because you can take a longer break and go back in the evening and do the work, right? So things can happen. It's just realizing that and valuing your employees.
Amazing.
If I may add, sorry, Aisha.
Yeah.
If I
Go
may
ahead.
add to the fact that I think, Meenu, you hit the head like the nail on the spot, which is it's about trust. And I think one of the questions I would have, because I have seen that hesitation that Nat is talking about. If we don't trust our people, then why did we hire them? We must trust our people to do the job that they were paid for. And the more we give them freedom, the more that they will actually do step up. Mm-hmm. And I think it really is about the leaders that, like, talking about what they're really afraid of, right? Like, what is it that you're really uncomfortable about? What is it that you're worried about? And having that conversation with the staff about, like, I'm worried that you're not going to be putting in the time. Okay, how can I demonstrate to you that I can work from home and put in the time, for example?
Exactly.
Yeah, agree. But I have a question. I just want like the number. How many hours in a day do you all work? Till what time do you work?
Do you really want to know that?
The hours or till when?
Yes.
You know what, when you feel passionate about something, the hour doesn't matter.
I agree.
No,
yeah.
I want the number. That's why I said I don't want an answer. I want the number.
Oh my God. I work way more than 9 to 5. I can tell you that. And
yeah,
the reason,
but
I totally agree with what Meenu is saying. It doesn't feel like work. So there are moments when I'm like, let's say I'm doing something else, because if I'm taking a break or whatever, and an idea will come, because I'm self-employed, right? An idea will come, and then I'll go back and start typing on my computer or start working on a program. And so when you're truly doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like I gotta sit on my desk for 9 to 5. You can get creative. You can think of ideas outside of the box. So that's why I can see why Meenu is hesitant to put a number on it, because the truth of the matter is, when you're an entrepreneur, you're always working. You're always thinking about your business. You're always thinking about connections and so
strategies
on.
And
so it's kind of hard to put a number on it.
But everybody needs a break. Everybody needs to, have that work-life balance that you were talking about. And when people are working from home, that is one thing I've seen. And I've got a complaint that, it becomes overwhelming. Like you're working the whole day. You don't know when to put the brakes. You don't know when to stop. You're like working. You are on your computer. You're just checking your emails. You're like, did I get an email? You're always like, you're watching TV, but your laptop is on and you're like, did I get an email? And you have to stop. So 9 to 5 jobs, if you're going to office, that's one thing that happens after work. You're meeting friends, or you're going out with family, or you're taking a break. So people have to understand you need to stop, and you need to have that work-life balance. Some of us manage it pretty well, but the others, they don't know how to manage it. So that's one thing. And flexible model is what I also have proposed to so many companies always, because what is it that you're looking at? Are you looking at the efficiency or versus time spent? Because many of the employees, they're scared to finish what job is given to them in hours. Like, some of them can finish it in an hour, but they take longer than that, just to show the employer that what they're paying them is actually worth it. Like, they need to be on the company, they don't need to be part-time, or the hours don't need to be reduced. Like, this is all real, guys. Like, I keep hearing so many of my clients talk to me about it, and it's real. So yes, that's true. The company needs to understand, give them their time. What is more important? Efficiency. Let them do it at whatever hours. Your work is done. It's done efficiently. That is all matters. What they're doing in the rest of the time is not your concern. Isn't it?
I will say that the pandemic, I think, taught all of us what boundaries really mean, because all of a sudden everything just mushed together. Like everything, your work, your life, your kids, your dog, your parents, everything all together. And I think at the beginning, most of us just didn't know how to handle it. So you were all thrown into it, added with the fear of level of not knowing what's out there, how are we going to deal with COVID and all that. I think we just took it all in. But I think as you step away and you go into try to create a routine, you start building those boundaries that become healthy boundaries, and knowing when to start and stop, and using the right breaks to take it. But I mean, to Giselle's point, I mean, once you love something and you put the hours in it, you don't count it as work. So I'm in her bucket on that one.
But there is something called as burnout and fatigue. You have to
that's real. That's very real. So, and that's another question. So.
Yes, that's another question. But what you're saying is so true, Nada. Before pandemic actually started, a month before that, like in December during Christmas, we had this elderly couple who came. We met, and they didn't agree that you could work remotely on all jobs. Like, they said, no, IT cannot go completely remote. And voila, you have Feb, and everybody is working from home and everybody is working remotely. And then I haven't seen that couple because I go out and they're my neighbors and they just walk away from me. So anyways, it's funny, but it's true. Everything, it is possible, right? So, okay. So we go further. So like we already spoke, a lot of people lost their jobs and they had to reinvent themselves. They had to start new careers, or some of them just realized that they didn't want to continue, and they resigned, or and they started their own jobs or their own businesses. One such person we have with us, Giselle. So tell us, what were the challenges and what were the advantages? Nada, you want to go first this time?
Sure. What I would say is the challenge. I mean, dealing with a job loss is very different than starting a new career. So let me talk about when you deal with a job loss, you just have to, there's that level disappointment and unexpected uncertainty that all of a sudden just came forward when your neighbor, your partner, whoever still has some sort of income that's going. So dealing with the job loss is very different because you have to process that, and it could be, and it's coming at a time that is so critical in the world, not just your life. Starting a new career is about putting the confidence behind the idea that you have and pushing forward with it. So seems very positive, but in both cases, you're going through change, right? In both cases, you're accepting that you're going to have to look for an alternative way to find yourself through work or through a job that you like or a career that you like. So whether you start, and the world has changed to an online form. So, I mean, the easiest example I can share, a lot of our teachers have gone from classroom to online Zoom or Google Classroom setup, right? But they continued the same profession, right? In a totally different setup. So that is someone, to me, if someone is looking at reinventing themselves, that could be the easiest way to transition into something like that, right? Not losing themselves, not losing their career passion and skills and so on, and finding a new medium for them to continue it. But at the same time, there are challenges that come when you start a new career, and believing in yourself and having the some sort of stable income source to be able to pursue the ideas, because it does take time. It takes time to build the business, put the clients behind it, the marketing, the social media, the many hours that may not result in an actual dollar until it's paid afterwards. So truly just believing in yourself and putting the confidence in a world of that is still not certain, or not in the way that we've known it to be. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely. Yeah. Have patience and look at your strengths. Yeah. Giselle?
Yeah, I just want to build on what Nada had said, because belief is so powerful. We need to believe before we can see, before we actually take a step forward. And so, when you think about, like, how did we invent flying? Somebody had to believe that flying was possible. And so belief is really, really key. I would say that, having pivoted in my business course that I took when I was embarking on this, launching my business, I actually met a number of people who had actually lost their jobs and had pivoted to create their business. And it's interesting because those stories that were shared with me were, I was dragging my feet on starting my business, and this was just kind of the impetus that I had because I really had no choice. And so the people that were able to be flexible and pivot and really kind of take the time to think about whether or not they were really in the right career, or whether or not there was something else they were interested in, I would say would fare better, I would say, than those. But the worries are real and the fears are real, in the sense that, people do have to pay their bills and put food on the table. And I think that's where the support from the government, I find, was really helpful. And, it was a real exercise in like the socialism, and in the sense that we did need to rely on each other's support while things were not working. And I think it was, in a way, kind of an experiment that when you give people basic minimum income, they do put it towards positive things. There's always this fear that, people on welfare, they're always taking advantage. There's a small group of people that do take advantage. And like, there's always going to be groups of people that's beyond what they can, like, I mean, they can't think of them flourishing beyond that. Think of themselves as flourishing beyond that. But the majority of people that receive social support go back to school, get better paying jobs. It's an opportunity for them to actually start their own businesses. And so having those supports was really key in helping people pivot as well. And so I think that was really important. From my perspective, I really try to see everything that I experience as an opportunity. Like, challenges come, and then we can get bogged down by the challenges, or we can use them as an opportunity to either learn or to see where the opportunity to pivot, or might there be another avenue that we can take that might be, helpful, profitable, or, growth provoking. And so if we take the mindset, going back to what Nada said, focus on our mindset of belief and opportunity, I do think we can fare better as we kind of start to open up the world. Thank you.
Amazing. So yes, positive mindset and showing compassion to yourself. Even before you show it to others, show it to yourself. Trust in yourself. Amazing. Meenu?
I totally relate to that. Actually, I did a session today for my team about positive mindset and how important it is. And especially during the time that we are in right now, where things are changing around us. There's so many things that we have no control over. So yeah, keeping a positive mindset and believing in yourself to don't give it up. I know this struggle, we all going to, like Giselle, you said, yeah, there's obstacle, we face them every day. Like we get up, there's always negativity around us. We hear the news, this is going bad, that's going bad. But it's focusing on saying that, yeah, what is in my control? How can I think it differently? And moving along in that direction helps, like, for sure, to make it better. Nothing comes easy. Like, we all have to work hard for it. So I personally, like, I have to make judgment on what I want to do, what is kind of igniting my fire inside me. And I was kind of debating for a long time, okay, I don't want to have a lot of people under me. And then I said, no, why not? Like, these people are looking for motivation. They're looking for people who can guide them. And if I can do it, a little part of it, and make them feel better. There's a lot of people who join my brokerage who have lost job and they have no income coming. So for them to kind of learn saying it's normal, it will happen. You just have to work through it. And to the point, yeah, financial assistance helped people, but it's going to be not there forever. So you have to think about how to do it better one day at a time. So I think that's personally how I felt. And that's why I made the call of, okay, taking on more people under me, how to train them, how to make them better, kind of helped me. You're on mute again, Aisha.
Yes, I'm muted. Sorry, guys. So it's wonderful what all of you have said. I'm just going to echo it because that's exactly what we wanted. Like, you know, the stress that came with losing jobs. And then there is a loss of identity. Some people identify themselves with the job. So, you know, there's a loss of identity. Then there is a fear of future. Like, what's going to happen to them? And many people, because of this, it leads to addiction, it leads to homelessness, it leads to like abuse. We have heard of so much family abuse. There have been divorces because they cannot live with, you know, in the same space for a longer time, right? So that's true, guys. And also, but what is important is trusting yourself, having that positive mindset that yes, this happened, but we have our strengths, which we know, and we have the passion for something. So let's rebuild ourselves, reinvent ourselves. Like Giselle said, even public allies, we were doing workshops for seniors, battered women, youth at risk, and we were doing in-person sessions. And when pandemic happened, we sat down for 6 months because we didn't know what to do. So, you know, the wheels were churning and we were thinking like, how do we reinvent ourselves? And having the social platform was so wonderful. We have met some amazing speakers like yourselves, and it's a blessing. So look at the positive side, how you can reinvent yourself, and it'll all be done, but give yourself time, be compassionate to yourself, and have that positive mindset. Amazingly said, guys. Okay, but then with, like I was saying, with the loss of jobs, there's also like, you know, homelessness, mental health issues. And then there were a lot of issues that happened. Now, how do you see these problems getting better or worse post-pandemic? We spoke like, you know, what all happened during the pandemic, but then moving into the post-pandemic, do you see it's going to get better, the homelessness, mental health issues, or where do you see it? Giselle, you want to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I will reiterate the fact that I feel like the pandemic is bringing to surface a lot of the things that we need to address, just for us to take a look at it. You know, homelessness was one of those things that, you know, advocates have been talking for a very long time about the need for support. And it's funny because, you know, countries like Finland have actually kind of paid for homes for the homeless and actually are saving money. And so I think we need to do something different, because obviously during the pandemic we had to resort to either, you know, allowing people to stay in hotels because there wasn't enough shelters, or had to give different options. And so from my perspective, I do think that things are getting better because we are having to address these issues that the pandemic now rose up to for us to all to see, and we can't ignore it anymore. And it's not like it's going away, because the pandemic hasn't gone away yet. And so that doesn't mean that there aren't challenges. There's a great deal of division right now in the world between different groups for different reasons. And this is where it is really important for us to practice compassion. It is really important for us to notice each other's suffering. But first and foremost, like you said, Aisha, we have to address our own suffering. We have to be aware of our own suffering and hold space for ourselves and put our own oxygen mask on first, so that then we can give to others from our overflow. Then we can be there to help other people, because it will take all of us to address these issues of injustice. It'll take all of us. We can no longer be apathetic about these issues, because we're all interconnected and it impacts all of us. And so it is really, really important for us to practice self-compassion and to be compassionate to people. And I do think that there is there are more and more people who are understanding how important it is for us to do that for each other and to be there for one another.
Thanks, Giselle. Yes, that is important, that, we don't stop being there for each other. We continue that and we build the community together. Nada, you want to go?
I would say, and I'm paraphrasing, someone said it has to get worse before it gets better. So these topics have surfaced just at a critical time for all of us, but it did have to get to a point, I'm not going to say dire point, but in some cases, yes, where we now need to take action. And what will happen is, because each one of us will find the area that we're most interested in or passionate or want to put our energy behind, those are the folks that we want to lead the actions around homelessness or social equity or diversity or LGBT communities or whatever it may be, and push these initiatives forward, because they're going to truly make a difference, because they're truly passionate. It affects them personally or someone in their family, and they know what it means and they know what it takes to be in this space and not have all the other normal setup around it. So it's unfortunate that sometimes things have to get bad for it to get better, but I think that's where true action can come in. And I think it will come. I think I have a very positive outlook, and it will come, and organizations, NGOs, and everyone else will put effort behind it. They will make it a priority on their agendas. So,
yeah, the social structure, if it has to be built, it's just not the community, but the organizations, even, and the civic system. Everybody has to come together, join hands, and it can be done. Even I have a very positive attitude towards it, and I feel very positive that, we are going to do that. Meenu, go ahead.
So Giselle and Nara touched on homelessness, and I totally agree with them. Things have to get to a point it's going to get better. I think one topic that I want to talk about is the mental health. I'm finding myself, I think when you are in a pandemic, you realize that people are stuck in their homes, self-isolation, mental health was a big issue. But I also find in a positive way that you kind of try to connect more with people. I personally was phoning everybody, whether I'm here or in India, my uncle and aunt, to kind of find out whether they're doing okay. So I find people have come out and realized that you are not living on your own, even though you might be isolated. You're still part of the world, you're still part of the family, and there's a bigger family out there, and understanding that we have to look out after each other, right? Because self-isolation, you don't know what's happening with people. People are not out, because you used to see them, my neighbors, before, but now I'm phoning them saying, I haven't seen you. So one example was I phoned a client today because I haven't heard from her. So now I'm more open to why the client hasn't called. Is everything okay? And looking after each other. And I think that's something that we learned, is to acceptance of that fact that we might not see people, but we can still reach to them and we can still help them. So I think that is a positive outlook I'm looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to the internet, thanks to the connectivity, we can connect with a lot more people. And we have learned that in spite of people being away, we can still have them for dinners together. Although it is virtual, but they can still be there. And but I agree with Nada and Giselle that, and yourself, that, the stigma attached to mental health for pandemic kind of COVID kind of eliminated that. People are coming forward and talking about depression, anxiety, and which was like, they thought which was crazy earlier, but now it's a real thing. That is an advantage. I will take it any day. And then people are even talking about kids being isolated, kids feeling lonely, the youth feeling lonely, and they're talking about problems. And initially the parents used to be very scared when they started talking about kids' mental health, but now they are more forthcoming about it. They're open to it. They in fact want that counseling for their kids. Probably you can see, like, the psychologist and the counselor are having a lot more people, a lot more clientele on their list, but it is for good. So I feel it is a good change. And also we have to remember that self-love is very important. Going forward, it is the right word, right thing. Love yourself. Like Giselle said, oxygen mask first goes on you and then on the person sitting next to you. It cannot happen that, you give the oxygen mask to somebody else and you faint here, right? So start loving yourself. It is wonderful. physical health, very important. And I have seen that, people are congregating on virtually and having these support groups, which was unheard of. Even I've heard we had Mandy and Paul who came in, who are creating community, and that it is a fitness group which does yoga, but at the same time, at the end, they have support group. Like, they talk about their problems, they share their problems, and it has become a close knit community. So, which is amazing. And I remember Meenu also goes to a support group, which is like amazing for global South Asian women. So everybody is, even though they're virtual, they're taking care of each other, which is amazing. So, yeah, so we come to the last question, which is about what tips would you give to people who are finding to reinvent themselves? Like, people are scared going back. And it is true that, even I felt anxious when I started going to restaurants and going for a holiday. So what suggestions or, what tips would you give? How do they handle themselves going back into jobs, or, people who are looking for jobs, or for people who are going back to offices to work, or even I would want to hear, what about children going back to schools, or parents who are sending their children to schools? What would you advise them? Meenu wants to go first.
Sure. I think my advice is to don't expect perfection from everything. Things going to change. We don't know what model we're going to live in. Whether we are saying today, kids, even my daughter who's going to university, I'm thinking, is the school going to open or not open? We don't know, because we are seeing, wave 4 is coming and wave 3 is going back and all those stuff. It's just take one day at a time. Don't think too much ahead. And just be acceptable of the change. Like I think Giselle touched upon the pivoting. Like, things will happen as long as you keep a positive mindset and you say, I can overcome this obstacle. We never thought pandemic will take us where pandemic took us, but we were resilient. We came out of it. We all here talking about it. Who thought that we will be doing that conversation today, right? So it's just kind of taking one day at a time, and I guess just accept the fact that it's going to happen, but you're going to come out of it. Don't give up. And if you need help, like support from people like who are talking about compassion or mental health, I talk to my clients all the time. You're facing a financial difficulty, come to me, talk to me. There's option that we have. So don't feel you're going to lose your home. We have ways to find it that you can stay in the home, but it's just talking about it, and don't think all of these topics are taboo, and just share. The more you share, the better you get, kind of thing. So that's would be my advice.
Amazing. What I got from that is a line which said, like, be open to change. All change is not bad, right? So, okay. Giselle, go ahead.
Thank you for that. So I just wanted to start with the whole concept of self-love and self-compassion that you touched on, Aisha, because that is so important right now. It's important for ourselves, and it's important when we interact with others. We're all doing the best we can. I mean, when we went through the pandemic, we really kind of had to were scrambling we were going by the seat of our pants. We were scrambling, trying to figure out what do we do. And so again, just remember that we are all doing the best we can. And through compassion, giving yourself what you need in the moment, it really helps you overcome challenges. So in the moment when you're feeling overwhelmed, take that moment to give yourself some kindness. Take that moment to give yourself what you need. Because I just want to reiterate the fact that, COVID is a scary thing. It's been scary for people. People are worried about dying. People have died. But the stress and the fear of what might happen is also really harming people. It's really making them really ill, really sick. And we all know what the research says about stress. Stress is a killer. And so it is really important for us to manage our stress and manage our fear through self-compassion and self-kindness. Give yourself a moment of, if you need to take a breath, take a breath. If you are struggling with someone who is not doing what you think they should be doing, take a moment to give yourself some time and space, and also extend them some compassion after you've done that, because they're also doing the best they can with the knowledge, understanding, and awareness that they have. The other thing that I would say is that one of the things that I've learned through my compassion practice and my self-love practice is that we're more powerful and more empowered than we give ourselves credit. we give our power away to people a lot, right? We worry about what they do and what they say about us. And so just it's kind of resting within our own power and understanding that we are a lot more resilient than we give ourselves credit to. And the last thing I would say is inject more play into your life. Play is so important to give us a sense of joy and to give us a sense of just, ease and grace. Is really important. Like there are things we're going to have to be that are challenging, where as we head back to work and as we go out into the world and see other people, those challenges are going to be there, and we're going to help ourselves through with compassion, but also take moments just for joy, just to enjoy life, and just cherish the moments that you are living every day without the need to kind of worry about either the future or the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. That was amazing. So I agree with you when it comes to stress and when it comes to anxiety and self-love, because when we went into COVID and lockdowns, we felt really lonely, like we were socially isolated. So when we are going to go back, we are going to feel anxious, we're going to feel stressed, seeing so many people around us, and you've been into social isolation for so long, so it is going to take some time. So I would also say that, self-love, very important. But at the same time, if you're feeling overly anxious, talk to somebody who you trust. They were there when you went into lockdown. They will be there when you come out of it as well. Nada, go ahead.
What Meenu and Giselle have said is spot on, so I will not repeat it. What I will say is a quick exercise to do, and it's to take an inventory of what has worked and what has not worked for you over the past year. You've seen yourself evolve, you've seen yourself through the different emotions that once this pandemic started to date. Take an inventory of what has worked. Was a Sunday morning off with no kids around what worked for you? Then that's fine. Listening to a new type of music? Great. Did you pick up a new hobby, a new dance routine? That's okay. Did you play cards as a family or a board game as a family? Did that just ease your mind off? Or did you work more hours and that kind of, took away the time of knowing that you're home alone kind of thing? So looking at a list of what worked and what did not work, you can walk away and say, what served me, what did not serve me, and do I want to repeat it again? Because you're absolutely right. If we go through another lockdown or we go through another big pandemic like, and I hope not, scenario, you will know yourself better. It's just there's a first time for everything that we go through, and you've known yourself and you've grown and changed and adapted and became more resilient. Now, what are you going to do about it? You can repeat exactly the same scenarios again, or you can live a very different version of it. So
amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, facts versus feelings always works, right? The facts are in front of you. Like you were saying, work-life balance, there is a balance that can do pre-COVID and post-COVID as well. Like you can decide you were a different person pre-COVID, but you changed it for better. Now you can have both. You can just include it in your lifestyle. You can get the best of both worlds, right? So don't let it go. If something worked for you, like Nada said, make a list of it, get the facts right, and continue it in your life. So thank you so much, ladies. That was wonderful. But I want to, I think we missed out on something. What advice would you give to the kids who are going back to school, or, to the parents? How do they keep their mental health, or how do they let go of the stress connected to sending their kids to schools? Or because some parents are really very protective, they have to be. I'm not saying that's wrong, but then the kids are feeling isolated as well. So what would you suggest? Everybody take a minute, go ahead, anybody, just jump in.
My advice, and it's not more advice, it's just an observation. Kids are very resilient, and they can tolerate more than us adults, and they want to go back to school. They don't see COVID. They're feeling it and it's real, but they also want to live day by day, and they want to live a normal kid-like life, right? They want to play on the swings and they want to play with their friends. And I think it has to be a little bit of a partnership where if the parents are going to keep their kids at home for safety, that's fine. They're just going to have to invest more in their well-being and a kind of a full rounded experience, and not just attached to a laptop or Zoom meeting like all day. And if they're going to go to school, take the right necessary precautions to make sure that they're safe and they've really enjoyed their day to the max. And it's just going to be day by day. That's my advice.
Yeah.
I totally
Amazing.
agree with Nada. I totally agree with Nada. Same thing, like I think you have to follow the guidelines of Health Canada, governments and everything, but you still have to enjoy your life and take one day at a time. And talk to each other, see how you're feeling. Like the kids have to talk to parents and parents have to talk to kids, right? To make sure that they're okay for doing what they happen. And some kids might not want to go back. They're happy being at home and they are okay for virtual classrooms. So if that's what suits them, let them have that opportunity and then have that conversation going. So then if they want to go back, they have a window of opportunity to go back to school kind of thing, right? But it will be one day at a time.
Yeah, it was so beautifully said by my friends here. I agree with what they had said. And it's so true. I find that kids are like little sponges, right? Like they pick up on the parents and all of our fears, and and it's true, like their comfort levels are different than ours. And so that's why, like Meenu said, the conversation is so important. I've had conversations about COVID with my children, and there are times when my kids say, Mom, I'm safe, I'm okay, trust me. And I'm like, okay, but it would help me feel so much better if you made sure that you had your mask on and you made sure that you keep socially distanced. And so there are ways to navigate and negotiate that relationship that gives them a kind of some control over the situation so that they can feel safe, but it also enables you to feel safe in terms of you share your expectations with them in terms of like, please make sure that you always have your mask on and so on. But I agree with Nada. Like, I mean, kids are so eager to get back and socialize and be with their friends and enjoy life. That I think sometimes the worries just really come from the bigger people in terms of, how do we manage things? And, we're all doing the best we can, right? So we're learning as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So true. So I agree, kids learn faster than all of us do. And it is a decision that, parents need to take along with the kids. Like, they should be included in that decision, like, what they want to do, because they should feel responsible for what is happening. It's their decision as well. So thank you so much, ladies. This was so wonderful. And I hope our viewers are taking full advantage of whatever we've spoken here. So to navigate the transition, we need self-compassion, self-love. We also need to be self-aware and recognize our triggers, right? It's very important to give ourselves some time as well. So prioritize your mental health, go easy on yourself and others, because when we are moving back, everybody has different paces, right? So give everyone their time, their space, and set realistic expectations. Don't expect yourself just to go out there and enjoy it the first day. So it's going to take time for you to go back to the normal as well. Keep track of your emotion. Like Nada said, make a list. And also, one thing is very important. We've gone through so much together. You have to recognize that you're privileged. You have to say gratitude to all the people that were present and to yourself. And the last thing I would say is take one step and one day at a time. Don't rush into it. So that was what I wanted to say. Thank you so much. Everyone, do you have anything else to say?
Aisha, we want to say thank you to you. You have moderated this very well. You're so knowledgeable. So thank you for sharing your insight and thank you for having us.
Oh, thank you so much for coming. I'm so privileged that, each time somebody comes on our platform and we get to, each time I learn more and more about everyone and about the new topics. It's wonderful. So thank you again. And from Public Allies, that's it for today. We are going to be coming next Thursday with another wonderful person. Her name is Heather Lee Kemp, and we're going to be talking about how you connect to your spirit. So again, with self-love, with self-compassion, it's important that you connect to your spirit too. So thank you so much, everyone, and to all the viewers, have a wonderful good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.